What's going on, everybody? We are here for another live episode of Mindin Ya Biz. We coming in live in the studio with a live episode talking about all the stuff. It's been a while since we've been live, so a lot to catch up on.
That's right.
I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. Blackwell, and we got...
Hey, it's your girl, Miss Fat Financial.
Feeling very
in
echoey.
here. We see the live is making us just do all kinds of stuff. We got all the things out. Got my notebook. Turn this around. We ain't sponsoring nobody. But how you what's going on with you?
Nothing much. I'm trying to see us live on this thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
he said let them worry. Our team said let them worry about that.
I know,
just gotta
but I
keep
see
pressing forward. So talk. Oh, I see it coming up. Minding your biz.
Oh, there we go.
Here.
There we go.
We
Got a little delay. Let me cut this down. So for sure, what's going on. We missed. It's a lot to talk about.
It's a lot.
Let's get right into it.
Let's just go into it. We don't need a lot of fluff today.
Yep,
we don't need a lot of hello, good morning. Let's go right into it. I know some of y'all. Last time we went live, y'all was all in the comments talking about I don't know nothing and I'm ignorant. And all y'all pro-Trump people, and that's okay.
Yeah, my man.
But
Trump.
Nobody had any policy. It was a lot of feelings and no facts. That's a lot of feelings, but no facts.
We definitely can say that about Kamala. It's all feelings.
It's not.
It is.
She has two things completely labeled out that'll help some of y'all. Most of us are poor, and the child tax credit will help you. Whatever Donald Trump talking about is not for you. You're voting against your own best interest, and that's all I'll say at this moment.
Well, I guess
that's all I'll say at this moment, because where is the Trump policy that helps middle and lower Americans? What is that policy? Because Kamala said she wants to expand the child tax credit to $6,000.
All right.
Right. Which child tax credit is typically we do taxes.
Right.
Income base is two parts.
Right.
Right. A refundable and a non-refundable.
Right.
And it helps people at a particular income bracket, which is typically under 80,000, which is the majority of Americans, be it black or white. Yes. Yes, that helps everybody. Okay. Heavily black folks, because we are typically at the bottom of the bottom.
Right.
Okay. Then she wants to do a $25,000 credit for first-time home buyers. We are also familiar with that because we do taxes, and that is a repayback thing. They haven't done it in almost 8 or 10 years.
Okay.
Right. That helps the middle class and lower Americans.
The best policy she got is the recent one that just came out.
Did he just not hear anything I said? He didn't even. He said, "Okay, that's what the Trump people do. They don't even address saying, well, that is a good policy for middle America. That is good. It's like no, I'm not even going to hear what you just said.
The best policy she got is raising the startup costs that you can claim on the deduction for small businesses,
how about it all?
Which Trump is also in support of, because they've been fighting for this for a while.
How about it all?
I don't really. You're going to raise more middle class Americans. How do you do that?
Well, you have to do it in a couple different ways, right? There's no one size fits all,
right?
Because Americans have multiple
issues. Give me two.
One is affordable housing, ownership and housing. So if I help you with that, absolutely. Because we talked about what? Ownership and equity. If I own a home.
That's
BS. We talked about it in our prior. Okay.
The equity, you being able to afford a home, to have value in your house that is achievable, that is accomplished, that's a huge accomplishment. Make no mistake about it.
So how do you help Americans make a house?
Income.
Okay, but you could do both.
No, they need income first. People complaining about she coming at people about price gouging.
I think you could do both. She also is talking about that. I want to address the economy. The FCC, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, how they are looking into General Mills for increasing products. So they are they're going after it's corporate greed. They're going after that. What else would you? You're like, nope. They just got to focus on business. You have to do it all.
The only way to increase the population to get more middle class people in here, which is what she's running off of, is people have to be employed. They're going to have to make more money.
You have to be employed at the same time, right? Because a lot of people talk about inflation.
Even to qualify for a house, you need a W-2.
Absolutely. It is a It's not a total sum game, right? Every American is in different buckets. There are some Americans who make a livable wage.
Mhm.
However, the products and services are too high, right? Which is inflation. So we have to
For sure.
address inflation for that bucket of people,
Right.
so they can have more discretionary income to possibly afford a home. Now, if you can help me with my down payment for this bucket of people, I may be better off in my living. Right? I may not have the money to put down for a home because my goods and services are high. That's where you get the discretionary income. That's one bucket of Americans. There's another bucket who do not make a livable wage at all. They are either uneducated. There's no job opportunities for them, right? So maybe we create more jobs for them, right? In bringing businesses back, growing businesses so that they can employ some people in this bucket. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have people that are living poor, right? That maybe the child tax credit does help them, right? If I can get $6,000 for that year to help me with Pampers, diapers, things, it could also help me.
All right, now we gotta be realists in this thing somewhere.
That is a real. All of those buckets.
Let me tell you something. First of all, no president has brought themselves down to the streets of the people where they're poor at. The more child tax credit people get, the more money they waste. The more money that goes back into the hands of the government via taxes and consumer goods of stuff you don't need.
And the consumer goods is how the economy runs. We are capitalists here.
Right, but you're talking about helping the poor.
So it goes the same way. It's
gotta,
the hand washing each other's back.
The girl running a campaign of popularity. Is what she's trying to do.
That's what all politicians do.
No.
So Trump, what is Donald Trump? Is he not voting off of populace? He's a populist candidate that's voting off of popularity.
Trump has a proven track record of what
Jesus Christ
the world and the economy looked like when he was in office versus what Biden and Harris got.
That's a skewed view.
That's not a skewed. That's
he inherited a very healthy economy from Barack Obama.
Well, right now,
and due to the pandemic that he mismanaged,
perception is reality.
Due to the pandemic that he mismanaged, led us into an inflationary economy.
But what has Biden and them did? They haven't done anything.
First of all, you keep switching back. See, I like how y'all Trump do. Y'all keep switching back and forth and pushing the pan around the bucket, but we never address the thing. He mismanaged an economy that was given to him that was thriving.
Who?
Trump. Right?
Possible. The economy was doing good when he was president.
Because he inherited from. Okay.
I ain't asked you who inherited what.
Because that's how it goes. If you are a president and I inherited a bowl of shit,
right?
And I clean it out and say, "Oh my God, now I got an empty bucket. Now I got to take out the shit and put back good stuff." How does that?
Harris was on a deciding vote to raise inflation.
What do you mean raise inflation? You can't raise inflation.
I meant to keep the rates as high as it is.
Okay, me and you both sat with the Fed chair on what inflation means and how it is. Now we can't ignore how inflation happens,
right? But they
how you bring inflation down.
They have a deciding.
We're gonna have a higher level conversation about how you bring inflation down.
But
it's not just about you just raising the rates, right? Lowering the rates.
They have a greater influence than most people are putting on them.
If you lower the rates and make money easier, what happens? The pricing of goods and services skyrocket and go back up. Home prices will go back up. Therefore, the livable wage that people is still out of reach. So if we lower rates, let's talk about inflation.
It's not going to go down, no.
Listen, you talked about inflation, and you can't throw out inflation without people understanding what that is and how it works. Okay,
let's do it.
If we say, "Yup, let's all lower rates to make money more accessible in the economy," because that's what that is, right? We're going to lower rates down back to 0% or 2%. That means there's an abundance of money in the economy. People think that's an amazing thing, but you also end up overpaying for everything. Why? While during the pandemic, people were paying double and triple for houses without the true value of it.
That's still happening right now.
No, it isn't. A lot of the housing came back down. It absolutely is. The value for my home during the pandemic, they were trying to get me to sell it for $800,000. in my neighborhood. Now, if someone bought my home for $800, guess what it's worth now? It went back down to $500. That's a negative. They're underwater. That is a house that was inflated due to the opposite of inflation. The same thing with goods and services. People were selling cars. I went to the Range Rover dealership. They're trying to charge me twice as much for a car that's a year older than mine. I was like, what? Well, why would I do that? I'm trading in my car. And that's crazy.
Right, because companies is losing off on profit.
They wasn't. During the pandemic, they were not. They were not. Goods and services were inflated because how is inflation and value determined is what the consumer is willing to pay. And so how do you bring that back down? You have to increase the rates of money to slow down consumer spending.
Cool, got it. Let's talk about what
consumer spending has to slow.
Let's talk about
the seller, right? For the seller to go, they're not buying it at this rate anymore. Let me lower the price back down. Or they're not buying it at this. Let me lower that back down. So for the people and the companies that have not lowered rates, right, which is food heavily, that's why the government is now investigating them. Well, why haven't you lowered your rates?
They still ain't gonna lower them, so you have to make more money.
All right. And
right now, we got two candidates that's running for president, right? We got Trump, we got Kamala, right? I think it's not really looking too good. My personal opinion about Kamala. However, I guess we'll see. She did an interview. Well, first of all, since we last did our last live or last episode, we had the DNC, which was the DNC.
That's right.
And then we run right into she had her first interview pre-recorded last week or so.
Yeah, on CNN with Dana.
Yeah.
Dana Bash.
Yeah. Pre-recorded, not live. She got a lot of flack for that.
For sure.
To try to figure out what it is that she was going to do. I think right now, though, the biggest thing is you have a lot of people who have picked their sides. Some people are going to vote for Trump. Some people are off the strength of it's going to vote for Kamala. The people that they're trying to reach, I feel, are the independents and the people who are undecided.
For sure.
And that comes down to, I'm making my own opinion about it based off what I've been seeing and researching. Policies that the people are going to be doing and the type of person that they are for them to sway their vote. You got a lot of black men who are more so for Trump or not really feeling Kamala, and you got it's a lot. I know it's not. No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not at all. And I think it's a lot of perception in the fact that, I think somebody asked me to kind of, if I put my bet on the race, I think Kamala will get the popular votes because she's very popular right now as a woman, as a black woman, as a just basically as a woman.
Most Democratic presidents win the popular vote.
Right,
but I think the majority of Americans are becoming more liberal. The strategic part of it is winning the electoral college becomes very strategic in winning some of those swing states.
For sure.
So since probably Bill Clinton, most presidents have won the popular vote. Most Democratic presidents.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Which tells you about the country. We're becoming more liberal. And so the minority of white men who are like sliding down the walls to obtain power are doing any and everything to keep that. And so regardless of Donald Trump's policies, I look at the down ballot in the long game, and to me is not on the Republican side to me. So I'm voting for more than just the presidency. I'm looking
like local stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you want to vote for Donald Trump, I've always said this, that's fine. But give him a checks and balance. Don't just vote and pull the lever and do red down the ballot, because you're really going to do your own self a disservice. Really. Yeah. I think you need to look in your own backyard before you just look at the top. Look at the down ballot. Look at those people. Look at what are they voting for? Insurance commissioners, the sheriffs. I agree. I get super hot and bothered with the presidency, but they are figureheads. They're figureheads. Your governor, your mayor, your city council, those things are what really matter. Your school board. All of that matters. So I'm gonna indulge and I'm gonna go with this, and we're gonna talk back and forth about the president.
Right, that's the only thing that matters right now.
For sure, but that's not, because when you vote on November, there's a list of people that are also on the on the ballot.
You know, I didn't know that
that is a list.
When you vote in Georgia, they allow you to like flip flop like that, where you can
split your ballot.
Right,
absolutely.
They don't do that in Colorado.
Absolutely.
You have to pick. You got to pick a side.
And that's
and if
also
you're independent, they'll send you both ballots.
For sure. And some of them have closed primaries, open primaries.
Yeah.
We as a people, black, white, orange, or purple, need to be more active in our political process on the local level, because it matters. Change happens.
I think we rely too much on the government.
You know, the government is
and
a
this
partner.
election is a prime example of why.
Their government is a partner. Sometimes we put way too much stock into your partners. They're not the end all be all. You have to do the work.
Yep.
And in the state of Florida, crazy as Florida is, last election voted to have in their primary to have felons voting rights restored. That was done on a local level. Almost one of the only states to allow that. So change can happen.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Just don't be sitting back waiting on the government.
No, please don't.
Yeah, out of all of this, whether you for Trump or for Harris, you know, my biggest thing is just being able to open up your eyes and seeing what's happening right before you, right? And so, you know, I'm like, hey, we always address like, oh, we need to go after the pharmaceutical companies because insulin is high and prices is this.
The Biden administration brought it down, $35 cap for seniors.
Right.
For insulin.
When you should just lose weight. You should need insulin. That's what we should be pushing. A healthy place. We trying to lower prices for prescription.
There's no credit ever given.
It's never. No. It's not the credit, but we as people look to put our saviors outwards, or it's always somebody else. It's always
talking about politics and policy,
right?
And they did that. The Biden administration was able to cap and go to bat with the pharmaceutical companies to get insulin down to $35.
Right. I'm glad you can afford it.
So you don't have to go to Canada and Mexico for your pharmaceuticals.
Right. You shouldn't have to do that in the first place. You should put the burger down and you wouldn't need the insulin.
All of that is great.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
But
so let's look at this interview that Kamala did.
You can encourage fitness and health as well. But the people who have diabetes need to.
People never take responsibility, and government is always a way out.
It's definitely not.
I think it is.
Okay, that's how we view it. I don't. Is the government a perfect thing? No. People looking for perfection, but the government is ran by us as people. We are imperfect people. We are so flawed. So to think that the system that is run by us is going to be perfect is really crazy.
I don't think it's going to be perfect. I don't have
it's a flawed system, right?
I agree.
But the purpose of America, the construct of America,
my
was
philosophy
to help
is
everybody.
Don't rely on it.
It's a partnership.
It sounds good. Let's this interview came up from Kamala Harris. Let's take a gander at day one in the White House. See what that looks like.
What did you do on day one in the White House?
She did this interview with what's her name? Dana
Bash.
Yeah. Pre-scripted. Somebody wrote her words for her.
Child. I'm not even gonna act like you said it. She is heavily managed, and she hasn't been on the trail to be vetted. I would agree with that.
That's why I don't think it looks good for her.
I would agree with that, but that doesn't, for me, take away from some of her policies. I mean, she
No, for sure. I think right now it's just the perception of what people see is becoming more reality. She's been very scripted. She's been very, she's been heavily managed, and you can really tell. I think that's the problem I have. You can't really know her. Like, I don't know what's authentic or what's not. What's for show, what's for not. You know what I mean? From the popular side, she just, she the yeah. Everybody else been showing. They might not come to us. We having a little technical difficulties with the clips, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? That's the media.
Oh Lord.
It's the media.
And the conspiracy theory is happening over here.
Propaganda.
There's tons of propaganda. It happens in every industry. Like, I don't know. You want to live off road or something? What's happening over here?
Would. I definitely would.
All right, well, let's keep it going until they figure it out, team. See, there's no perfect system. Things happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but
Things
the
happen.
breakdown is, Kamala did her first interview last week or so. So we kind of in between breaking down the interviews, our thoughts on it, the whole scenario, as we gear up for the debate next week too.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my
and
God.
so we'll be live next week, Wednesday, to cover the debate. See what that looks like.
She got to get in TikTok and get some stinger. I mean, she
need to get off of TikTok and get into
and do what? She's going to talk about policy, and she's going to be talking about the way she looks, and he's going to be talking about all types of stuff.
So
what is he going to say? Nothing.
They're both they both have to.
The
interesting part of it is both of them have to answer to the American people.
She is a traditional, heavily not pampered. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Like she's
sounds like you're giving her an excuse.
I'm definitely not. She is a traditional middle of the road politician, and most of them never really answer the question, right? Most politicians find a way to appease both sides, right? Because nobody wants to offend either side. Donald Trump has taken with his campaign and his rhetoric is to be totally one-sided, and if I offend you, oh well, but I'm leaning on this side, right? That's Donald Trump's angle. And she is a very traditionalist politician, which usually they dance in the middle and go, oh, they kind of piddle pat on both sides. So,
but that's not going to work for her now. It can't.
Well, all the politicians do it. He's very different because he's more entertainment and he does a lot of that toxic talk. But typically you never get to the substance and answer the question.
Yeah, but they both are gonna have to get to it. And you see it happening.
It's gonna be her the same way she answered the question about Israel and the Palestinians. That's how most politicians answer. They never give you a direct one. They pay both sides because they don't want to alienate anyone.
For some reason, I remember when Obama was running, it seemed like he
did it more eloquently.
He gave clear, like, this is what I'm going to do as a champion for change.
He's a better orator.
Right.
At
least we heard it.
So he was able to circumvent some of the questions because most politicians don't want to alienate a particular voter. That's how they play the middle field.
But now they're gonna.
She's just not a great orator to be able to do what Barack did, and Donald Trump.
And that's crazy being a prosecutor. That's all you do is tell stories.
She does for one side of the fence,
right?
Because that's how she has to do it.
So you should be for the government. She should be able to talk this noise.
Well, politicians typically don't. Donald Trump doesn't do it either.
I think he.
No.
The thing here's the thing.
He doesn't answer the question.
But here's the thing that the perception that we have to be, regardless of how we feel about it or how it happened, is. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know how to look at it. Trump has a track record that people can see a healthier economy based off what they believe a healthy economy is. Going into the Biden and the Harris administration, you're seeing a crazy economy.
But that's
prices is
perception.
Up. I understand that, but that's the perception that's
not
reality,
real, right? That's
like becoming reality off
of
what people see.
That's not real.
So Trump could get away with really saying minimal things,
absolutely,
where she has to orator.
Orator. What I say?
Where she
orator. Thank you.
But
Orator.
and I think that's why she's getting most of the flack, because like nobody knows her in the sense of like, what do you really stand for? Who are you? And they're trying to like make her a little bit like, well, what do you feel about this? Or Trump said this and this and that. And she's not giving nothing where Trump can, in this day and age, Trump could say minimum to nothing and kind of stand on the track record that he already has. And I think that's the problem that's with the Democratic Party, the way that they're running her campaign.
No, for sure.
I don't think that's smart at all.
I think two things are happening here. I think one,
we got the video going, or
one, for her to win, right, in terms of marketability and winning the campaign, is also getting some of her personality out there and who she is as a person. And she hasn't had a lot of time for that fast to test the market.
And I think she's conflicted.
What Donald Trump has had the way he ran the first time, him being a president and running again, and he realized the toxic talk works for him and his brand, right? Whether we like it or not, right? And so she has to figure out a way, the same way Biden did. But I think at this stage in the game, people know that at the end of the day, I'm so anti-Trump and anti-Republican establishment and anti-whatever is on that other side that I'm going to go ahead and vote for her regardless.
And that's a problem, I think.
That's just.
But that's where we at. But that's the problem.
Happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Oh, this the one on the
Like when they go low, I go high. I'm not answering. I'm not even dignifying that.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's try to get the day one clip. What are we gonna do? And it's not working. Oh man, we having all kind of problems. All right. Well, cool. So, but you know,
in that clip, basically, it showed that Dana asked her about her race because Donald Trump, is using that as a way to smear her in this situation. And she basically didn't dignify it. Like, oh, I'm not, it is what it is. I think she addressed it before, and I don't think she has to keep addressing it. I don't think she has to keep talking about who she is and what she is in this regard.
She probably is, though.
I think we could focus on
unfortunate.
some other things.
It's very trivial. It's very distraction worthy, but it's gonna always be a thing. And and I think it's like that too, because
I think she should just keep nailing down talking about who she is today and what she's going to do for the people and policies that people can wrap their head and arms around, because some people just don't have it, right? Donald Trump is in the entertainment industry. And so when you come from that world, you know how to captivate people. Regardless if you're talking jello and mush is coming out of your mouth, she was a prosecutor and an attorney. So sometimes they're dry, very dry. They don't have personalities. She got to work with what she has, which is drilled down about what she's going to do for the American people.
I know.
Don't be non-authentic to yourself.
Good black lawyer since Thurgood Marshall.
You know what I mean? Like she's got to be authentic to who she is, and we got to see that. And a lot of it may be vanilla. You know what I mean? Like your personality matters. But that's the part. And that's what Barack and Michelle had. They had charisma. They had personality.
Yeah, but they was black all the way. What I mean by that is not questioning whether or not she's black or not, but I think she's at a. No, I'm not. I think she's in conflict with who she wants to show up to be based off what everybody else want her to be. She's leaning too much into black people for the sake of being called to. I
don't think she's leaning into black people. God. If that's the case, then she would have said, "Yep, I'm black. I'm up." She said, "I'm not even going to dignify that." If she was leaning heavy into black, so Donald Trump going to the barber shop in Atlanta, people are going to pander to the audience that they're trying to get the vote for them. Right, so Donald Trump was leaning into blackness when he was sitting up there in a barbershop, like he getting his hair cut, and when he was here in Atlanta.
I didn't say he wasn't.
But I don't think she's leaning heavily into it or using it because she would have did it here.
Oh my goodness. This woman. if you look on social media right now, the only thing you outside of people debating about what it is that she stand for, what it is she do or show up, you see all kind of black coverage. People asking her how you cook collard greens. People showing up to perform. She's leaning way too much into it. She putting too much on it. Just be you. That's all I'm saying. Just be you. You don't have to go to the Drake concert for me to believe you black. Like just be you. It's
unfortunately, I get what you're saying.
You leaning too much into it.
You said about Barack and Michelle being black is why probably her team is doing some of that. Who feel she's not black enough. So which way you want it? Because you
right, but
said
she didn't make it to
black,
she didn't make it to where she was at off the strength of her being black. That's the reason why Trump can say, "Oh, now you're black." Well,
because we didn't know anything about her.
Exactly. So be you.
So you can't say one way. What do we know about Kamala? I'm sorry.
That's what we trying to figure out.
Kamala.
That's what we trying to figure out.
Right. So
you ain't telling us nothing.
But then, okay.
You ain't answering no questions. We don't know who you are. We don't know what you stand for. If you look at the DNC, only thing that I watched it. Everybody that came out there spoke about Project 2025. That's all they're hitting you with fear. Project 2025 and women's reproductive rights.
That's right.
Important. When did they overturn the reproduction
That's important.
Rights? When did they overturn the reproduction rights? When did this become a thing? What year was it? Let's look it up.
This year. Last year.
Huh?
When the Supreme Court overturned it?
Right.
Last year.
It was last year. Who was in office?
Sir.
No, I just asked a question. Who was in office?
What?
Who was in office? All I'm asking is who was in office. You got a vice president who's been with the president for the last almost 4 years.
Who put the judges? Is this crazy? This is weird.
So what is she going to do to change that?
What is
she going to do to change?
Listen. The Supreme Court was set by the previous administration,
right,
who put up the super conservative judges to overturn Roe v. Wade.
I got that.
That is a lifetime appointment.
I got that
the Republicans put in office.
I got that.
So now I'm in office.
Right.
What am I supposed to do with the prior?
So what are you going to do tomorrow if you become president? If you're standing on this, Kamala's going to fight for our reproductive right. What is she going to do that she can't do in the highest position that she's at right now?
Because
with the influence
it's about
of the president.
Voting blue. Because the Republican Party is the one who did it.
Voting blue where?
What do you mean?
Making sense.
No, it makes sense to me. I don't know. It makes sense. That's why people is people, and because we think different. It makes sense to me.
No.
If I vote for Kamala or Kamala Harris in the Democratic Party, my reproductive rights will be on the ballot to be restored. That's what that means for me, because now they threw it to the states. So in certain red states, it is illegal to get an abortion. I don't have any rights, and that's going all the way down to, in vitro fertilization. So if it's not now, the federal government, you have no protections now. Now some super liberal people are like, hey, stack the court, expand the Supreme Court, and put up more liberal judges. That's an option, but they don't want to do that. That's like a nuclear option, because we've never expanded the Supreme Court before.
That's working at all. Well, their whole situation, it just didn't really tee him up good, and she's not even calling attention to it. And fortunately or unfortunately, like I said, Trump has a track record that shows. Trump been showing up places that they haven't. One of the clips we were going to show was the whole Arlington situation at the cemetery, when she did the tweet on Trump showing up at the ceremony for political gain, and all them parents got on her immediately.
It was like, you shouldn't have done that. We didn't invite you because we want to leave.
No, they did invite her. They invited her.
The first man said, we didn't invite you. That first man in the red shirt said, because you're not a leader, we didn't invite you. So that's political to me.
But most of them.
What?
Most of them,
You're gonna say, well, that's just him.
Because the lady who was leading the charge, they invited her. So I don't know where he was getting that from.
That man said we didn't invite you because we want a leader.
They invited both of them.
So I don't know. I don't know who to believe. People say anything for clicks and bait.
Believe all them parents
which one
tripping. I know they invited the lady. Because they wanted attention about their kids. First of all, this was about the people, and this is a double-edged sword too, because this is about those soldiers being killed off a decision that Harris made, was Biden so teeter up to say, hey, she was the last person in the room to make the decision to extract from the Afghan to extract from Afghan, and then they invited her to the ceremony and she didn't show up, and the fact that Trump did show up says a whole lot. And then for her to come back and say, hey, you did this for everybody, did it for political. The whole thing was for politics. The people wanted coverage in there, so they invited the two people who can give them coverage. The whole thing was a political situation.
Stunt. It was all a political stunt.
A whole thing
across the board.
But the fact that she went back and said what she said, I think is crazy to me.
No, but if it's all a political stunt, I feel like stand on business and go, I don't want to be your pawn. Y'all really don't care. It's a stunt. So if I come or not, it's not going to really make a difference.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Absolutely, it's a stunt, right?
No, I don't think the parents was pulling the stunt.
Well, why have it? Why have it? Why didn't you do it the year before? The year before?
No, they do it. They do it every year.
Nobody ever came. Why didn't Donald Trump
shows up
this time?
I think he's been there since the beginning, and he reached out to the parents, and he talked to every one of them who was hurt.
You can find what are they called? Blue Star Family. What they call Red Star Family. No, please forgive me that I don't know the name. Please forgive me. What are the families called?
And they don't get no more American than this because these are soldiers.
What are those families called?
They the
Red Star, Blue.
No, they
but they call them something. They be like the Red Star,
the 8 Gold Star,
the Gold Star families or something. They're called for families who've lost loved ones in any war.
Yeah,
a combat and in that situation.
Yeah.
Across the board, you're going to find people that are pro this president and anti the next.
Yeah.
In every administration, there have been soldiers who have died in combat.
For sure.
In every situation.
For sure.
So I don't have a opinion not against it. I mean, he was the one that literally said, what's the man who lost his arm? That he was a loser for getting caught in combat. So please forgive me. And now that he want to go to the site and now have dignity when the man lost his arm and said, well, he obviously is not a good soldier because he got caught. He was a POW. Is that what those people? John McCain. That man said, well, you obviously. So I don't, and he's been,
to John McCain.
He's been disrespectful to the military on and off the court. So cry me a river.
I'm just telling you.
I don't really.
It ain't really.
For me, it's a stunt.
It ain't really looking good.
So if you want the stunt, then go for it.
It ain't really looking good.
I'm good on it.
She got it. The biggest thing is though.
She don't have to answer to nobody. She has to run. No. Listen here. Please hear me out. She has to run her race to get the people who are going to vote for her the same way Donald Trump does. He doesn't. He answers only to his base. He don't answer to us. Have the same rules and regulations you have for Donald Trump. He don't answer to the people. He only answers the people he want to answer to. He could care less about certain people in this country. And he doesn't answer to us. He don't have an agenda for us. So I say, run your race and we'll see you at the finish line. That's how I see it. Because I don't really want to keep playing the tit for tat because Donald Trump has done a lot of problematic things. He is not a person who is about people, but he is a great entertainer and he has found his base and he can win off of that. However, old girl has got to step it up. She's got to be more out there. She's got to show up.
She do.
And she's got to put her policies on the line and make it clear that we are here to help everyday Americans in a myriad of ways.
I mean, the debate will be interesting, I feel.
Child, that debate is going to have me sliding down the walls because I already know what's going to happen. She's going to be up there trying to debate, and he's going to be throwing insults.
You think so?
Absolutely. That he's done that in every debate.
She got
Sleepy Joe. He done called some. What'd he say?
If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have found out he wouldn't. That was crazy too.
He was talking about Rubio. He was talking about that other man's wife. He throws insults. He's a toxic talker, and he doesn't really come
I think
across.
For her, this is her stage as a prosecutor. She should be able to dominate this debate.
She's going to do policy, and she's going to talk. She's going to be dry because people going to want to show, and Donald Trump's going to give you the show. He's going to be mudslinging. And people gonna be laughing. I don't know. She's gonna act crazy. Same thing he did with Hillary. He's gonna be probably walking all close around her. And he, as a stunt master, he's a good entertainer. And she's gonna be trying to stick to the point. She's gonna have her hands like this, and she's gonna be trying to be a politician. And Donald Trump is gonna be doing somersaults and all this crazy stuff over here. And we're gonna completely disregard what she's saying while he's has all the theatrics, and we're gonna be watching him. That's how he does. He sucks up the oxygen in the room.
I hope she can hold her own though, because that's where it's just really coming down to who she is, what she stands for, right or wrong or indifferent, but being able to place her. And I don't think her qualifications is a question. I wouldn't do that.
She's definitely qualified
for sure.
Yeah. Donald Trump what are the qualifications now? So I think we definitely can't say you're not qualified. We can't. I mean, he's a convicted felon at this. I mean, the bar is really low. It is really low at this point.
People been criminals.
Okay.
At best, though,
at least they weren't convicted. 34 felonies.
I mean, I ain't in disagreement. Listen, I'm just saying, long
the bar is set low.
She got to be able to pull something. This debate has got to be the thing for her to come out swinging.
She's got to definitely show us something.
It's been a lot in the past 3 weeks that's just not working in her favor, from the perception of it, from the DNC to the how she even got in there, from not being able to show up in the primaries, not being able to hold her own.
I do agree with that. I agree with that.
All that stuff is a.
I think
she
hasn't been vetted. She hasn't been out there.
She gotta show something different here.
To this point, you kind of got an identity,
right?
And unfortunately,
she don't have that.
She doesn't have a
you
solid.
Can't place her.
She doesn't have a solid identity because she wasn't fully vetted, and she didn't have the opportunity to use the whole campaign cycle to vet.
And the other part about it too is the fact that, call it what you want to call it, but she's been the vice president. And so a lot of it is going to be like what people are looking for if they're trying to beacon her up as a new joy or for change. They're looking for something different. All Americans, whether you rich or poor, is fed up with the way the current administration has
I'll say, so I won't say everyone is completely fed up because Joe Biden did win, right? Because Donald Trump ran again.
I'm talking about once he got in the office,
right? And it was a reason
wanted him in there.
No, it was a reason why he lost, right? Ooh. Donald Trump, he ran again and lost. Americans were over the separatism and the toxicity of his administration.
Right,
they were over it.
Right.
And so when you say I want something new, people wanted a sense of calm again. Right. And they got that with Joe Biden. Right.
The messed up economy.
That was inherited. It was inherited messed up.
Right now, what's happening is
I'm so confused.
But only thing that's not gonna be the thing that comes up. I'm keeping it real based off the perception of reality that's being portrayed through media everywhere.
The perception is the problem. We keep perceiving stuff as reality and it's not.
And I agree. My whole thing in reference to all the politics is to wake up and pay attention to what's happening. But what she's going to have to answer. But you can't
wake up if people are still selling the point that Donald Trump was a master economist.
But that's all they're going to focus on.
Who really had this robust economy that he inherited from Barack Obama.
That's all they're going to focus on.
I heard somebody today talking about opportunity zones. I said, oh, Lord. The opportunity zone been in our repertoire for 20 years.
He
Jesus
had
Christ.
I think they did the history on it, and Trump had the top between him and I forget who was the other president. Had the best economy as
Probably Bill Clinton.
as
the economy was good when he was in
no, I don't
office.
think it was Clinton. It wasn't Clinton. I would remember Clinton.
You could look it up.
Yeah, we definitely can. But but my point is that's going to be the thing that she's going to have to answer for, to the competency of Biden and what they portrayed as far as him being able to run the country, the policies that they put in place. Are we going to get more of the same as the economy that we're in now as we move with her, or will there be something different? And
the economy is not going to be the same because it's cyclical. The economy is an evolving thing.
I get that. You trying
apparently you don't get it because you keep talking about.
I'm not debating you on how the economy works.
Okay.
I'm debating you on what the world sees and what they're going to have to answer to what people think. Ain't nobody talking about the same time that they had the DNC. Guess what else was happening? The Fed was meeting at Jackson Hole. They was talking about policies and procedures.
And they're talking about lowering the rate, which is outside of the administration.
That got less coverage than
outside of the administration.
And that got less coverage than what Kamala principles is standing on. And is we gonna have the same Biden economy or not? That's what's going.
Well, then that's why you need to look at the Fed, because they're the ones who make a difference.
And I agree. I'm wholehearted. First of all, if it's up to me, you should less government anyway. I don't know
what you are at this point.
Yeah, I'm less.
I don't know.
I'm gonna wake up and pay attention. I'm a less government type of person. I'm gonna pick your stuff up, bear your own cross, get to the other side of what you're looking for, and get there. And you don't need.
And that would be great if white supremacy wasn't a thing.
That's a factor.
If I had equal, if I had equal footing,
it gotta go. At some point, it gotta go.
Footing.
Some point, it gotta go.
Okay, now how you make it go?
You just do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do?
For sure.
Harriet Tubman ain't use that excuse. Jesus Christ. Y'all just was talking about that. Martin Luther King ain't used the excuse.
He dead.
But you know what he said? You know what he said? You know what Martin Luther King said? Martin Luther King said, I'm in fear that I'm leading my people down the wrong path, because we will not be able to prosper economically. The churches never took that up. The people never took that up. They kept on being into the politics. You got more minorities and black people in Congress than you do have people putting up businesses to actually help the people. Let's kind of really be real in this situation.
Okay, the city, we talked about this
less
before.
Government and more people. Social welfare has caused people to have more unemployment, less fathers in the home, the whole 9 yards. There was more black people who were prosperous and married 40 years before the 60s when they put social welfare in than there are 20 years later.
There's so many different factors, right? You just can't pull out and throw stuff out there. Typically, when things come into play, it's a reason why, right? The same way the crime bill came, welfare came, all of that comes out of a social need.
There was a need the government
created.
It wasn't a need for,
it wasn't a need for welfare.
The crime bill created more crime. You can look that stuff up. Social welfare created more people dependent on social welfare than it was not.
I disagree.
Oh my goodness.
I disagree. The crime bill definitely put a lot of people in jail, but it
created the crime to put them in jail.
It definitely did not.
Just like when they put sex ed in, where it was an issue to have sex education.
Oh my God.
After sex ed, you have more diseases than you did before they even introduced it. Mm-mm. The government put out policies that
so they put DARE in there too to create more drug addicts. Because you learned about drugs. All of that is
I'm telling you, the misconception
is not. Look it up. Let's go ahead and look up, right? It's about education, right? The less you educate your constituency, the easier it is to take advantage of them. So when you say sex education, I learned sex ed and health. And it didn't make me more promiscuous. It didn't make me it made me unaware of my body. It made me aware of diseases. It made me aware when I had sex ed and health in school. When I had DARE in school, it made me aware of drugs.
I'll do you one.
So now all of that stuff is out of school, right? There has also been a decline in teenage pregnancy. You could look that up.
Decline since when?
Teenage pregnancy.
Since
Currently, in the last 3 years.
Right. How long has sex ed been out of schools?
I don't know.
That's where the decline come from.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We can
definitely look at that. We'll get back.
I'm gonna do you one better. After
back.
next week episode, we're gonna be here live on Wednesday. We covering the debate.
We're gonna do education.
After that episode, I'm gonna break down the condition of Black people, social welfare, and all these policies.
Okay. Let's go.
Give you the numbers.
We got to get some numbers. I'm gonna do some data. We're gonna do some research.
Factuals. You're gonna see
research
the decline of Black people from social welfare. Now, over time, like today, of course, more people are making more money over. That's just a natural thing that progresses over time. There are more people making more money now than there was way back when, due to more professions, etc. But the condition of the family and the conditions that we in, that policy, and it was based
on education. The decline in teenage pregnancy is education.
All right, I'll let you have it for now. We'll see y'all in the next episode.
People are having less children.
Let us know what's happening.
They're educated across the world. People are having less children. A educated constituency has less children. The more college degrees you have, the less children you have.
We're gonna leave it there. Y'all let us know what's going on, right? We covering the debate.
I'm sure y'all will.
Tell us your opinion on what's gonna happen with the debate. What you think VP Harris is gonna do? What you think is it former President Trump will do? And we'll be here next Wednesday to talk about it. Y'all meet us here next Wednesday, 10:15. We'll be live. Talk to you next week. Peace.